Never had that kind of trouble in these waters.
We all go a little insane on this island.
You all know me.
Martin, it's all psychological.
Know how I earn a living.
Nobody cares because there is no proof. You catch them, you kill them, you leave them out there.
Get the mirror off my back so I don't have any more of this zone crap.
You've got that.
Welcome back to the Jaws Obsession, where we are here to share with you, prove to you, convince you, or remind you that Jaws is the greatest movie of all time. Thank you very much for returning for this Jaws Obsession, episode 91, the Expanded Jaws Universe, minute 3. Thank you very much for returning. I am your host, Ryan Dacco, author of the Book of Quint, ready to go through the movie Jaws 1 minute at a time, utilizing the Book of Quint, the prequel to Jaws, and to watch Jaws again for the first time in the year 2025. After the excitement that was the Jaws 50th anniversary over at on Martha's Vineyard for Amity Week 2025, episode 90 was the speech that's now been heard around the world, the motivational Jaws speech that's caught a little bit of traction on YouTube. It's exciting to see. It's at 37,000 views and counting. What an excellent experience it was, and what a great moment was just for Jaws fans in general. For myself, as a Jaws fan, was to be there to experience 50th anniversary and the excitement, but also to contribute and to start a new journey that took 5 years to get to that point. Remember that when we started this, the email that was created, you can reach me here at jawsob2025@gmail.com. That was created because I picked 2025. Obviously, it was the 50th anniversary of Jaws, but I felt that there was going to be a very strong moment, a strong movement happening in 2025 for the 50th anniversary, that it was something that what was happening was there was something forming that I felt very strongly that the fans could coalesce around, bring us all together, and move Jaws forward, expand the Jaws universe as not just continue a series that the studio had given up on, but expand this Jaws universe and go deeper into the characters and what we see in this movie Jaws. And it's very exciting to be at this point. The books, I believe now, the books are once again, we've sold out again with this first printing of the hardcover. I do have a few books left that I will be taking to Indianapolis with me. We're leaving tomorrow for the USS Indianapolis Legacy Organization, the 80th anniversary of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis, and we're going to be there tomorrow. We're going to be leaving tomorrow. We're going to be there for the 30th, for the Honor Watch over at the monument in Indianapolis, Indiana, catching the families of the survivors and families of those lost at sea with the USS Indianapolis tragedy, and bringing them up to speed. I was there last year where I introduced the book to them, but now everybody's excited. They read the book and they want to talk more and learn more about the process and where we are at to be part of that family over there. We're just delighted to be going over there. I will be helping out with the flag folding, flying the flags over the monument, experiencing the moment where we're honoring these men that sacrificed their lives 80 years ago. 80 years ago, if you can believe it. So aside from the 50th anniversary of Jaws, it's the 80th anniversary of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis, July 30th. Remember, it was July 29th. Right at midnight was when the torpedo struck on the USS Indianapolis. So it actually sank in 12 minutes. So just 12 minutes past midnight was when the sinking actually occurred. So it was the night of July 29th. And then it goes into July 30th is when the sinking actually happened. So the Honor Watch is on that whole day of July 30th over at the monument in Indianapolis. If you haven't, please give the episode 90 a watch on YouTube and see the visuals of the presentation that I did. Even though I put it out as episode 90, the audio version of the podcast is what quickly became our biggest premiere. For the audio version, but then the video also went on, and now the video over at YouTube has picked up speed. And as we're transitioning now, we're no longer just an audio-based broadcast. We now have video incorporated. So if you want to see the visual elements of this next minute, you can go over to YouTube over at Jaws OB to see the video of this broadcast. You can find the description for the video in the link for whatever platform you're listening on if you're listening to the podcast version. But both of them work, and we're glad you're here no matter what format you're watching or listening on, because it's very important that we're all together on this. It's a very exciting time as we go through this movie Jaws 1 minute at a time. There could be some spoilers coming up. I don't think there's any serious spoilers. In this next minute, we are going to get in some elements, some of the maps that are included in the Book of Quint I will be using here to explain some of the parts in minute 3 here of Jaws. Some comments that I've seen come in where, why do you talk about the Book of Quint so much? Why the Book of Quint? Why can't you just stick to Jaws? And our main focus here, our main point is that we are going forward. The Book of Quint and Jaws are the expanded Jaws universe. It's actually the Book of Quint, Jaws, and Jaws 2. We're going to get to why we're not including 3 and 4 in later episodes, but Jaws 1 and 2 and then the Book of Quint is actually an expanded Jaws universe where you're fleshing out, you're bringing out details, and why the Book of Quint is going forward, why Jaws is better off with the Book of Quint, as you'll see in this episode, is that those maps that are included are intricate in letting your mind's eye develop landmarks and the actual setting of Amity Island. It allows the events of Jaws to coherently take place better. There's been a lot of confusion where people try to shoehorn Jaws onto Martha's Vineyard. It just can't happen. You just can't do that because Martha's Vineyard is such a massively large island. There's 6 towns on Martha's Vineyard. And in Jaws, we only talk about the Amity Island, the town of Amity. So it can't be the size of Martha's Vineyard. Realistically, there would be more towns. There would be other groups of selectmen. Remember, each of the towns on Martha's Vineyard has a board of selectmen. But over here with Amity Island and Jaws, we only have one board of selectmen. So we have to realize that Amity Island is a smaller island. We do know it's a 3rd island in Jaws, as we're going to see later on when Martin Brody's radio over at the beach before the Alex Kintner death scene. So that's why these maps are very, very important to bring the events together, but to give your mind's eye a platform to watch the movie Jaws on. And actually, you're going to see here with minute 3, we're going to get right into this. So let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right in here. We're going to go into, we're here at minute 3. If we remember, as we left minute 2, we had Chrissie. Chrissie was running into the water and she dives. And as she hits the water, we're right at the 3rd minute of the movie. So there she is swimming. Before we go back, I want to go back into that 2nd minute. As you see, when she jumps in there right at minute 3, there is no hesitation by Chrissie. She just runs full stride and jumps into what is really 50-degree water. What we have to do is we have to look at, we're looking at out at the water. We're looking at the channel marker buoy. We're also going to see some land formations here. There's like a little bit of a tip of something here, and then there's some dotting of islands going on the horizon there. That we're going to use this 3rd minute. We're going to bring in the map of Amity Island that I used in the Book of Quint. We're going to see that Amity Island is actually a 3rd island. It's actually, Amity Island is one of 3 islands here. We have Nantucket to the east, Martha's Vineyard is to the west, with Amity Island down south. This is all south of Cape Cod. No Man's Land is right here. There's an island there, Block Island. Obviously, you have Montauk way over to the west. This will give you kind of a setting here, but why? What we have to realize is we are looking at Amity Island is this outlayer island. It's only the size large enough for a small population, 1 town, where Martha's Vineyard will have 6 towns. You'll have Amity Island with just 1. So when we're talking about sea temperature here, I want to say is that if you're going to look for accuracy, we're going to be talking about sunrise and sunset. What were those? If you search Nantucket water temperatures for the 70s, 1974 to be precise, because that's the year that we are in with Jaws. What you're going to do is you're going to have a more accurate idea of what the ocean temperature would be around Amity Island. And that's what we are going to be pinging off of here. This is one of the maps that's included in the Book of Quint. This is the wider map. And John Tedder and I, my technical advisor, we went above and beyond to be able to triangulate exactly where. And one of the reasons why I had Amity Island positioned like this was because of in Jaws 2 with Cable Junction. Cable Junction is right in here where my little cursor is right now. You can actually see it right down in there if you zoom in really close, that little blip of white right here. So that's Cable Junction, because if you're going to send power to this island, what you have is you would have power from the mainland, from Cape Cod, will be coming in undersea cables over here. Undersea transmission lines will be coming here, will be coming here. And the most logical way is, instead of trying to take undersea from here, you would actually, the shorter distance is right to here from Nantucket over to Cable Junction. So this is where your undersea three-phase 34.5 transmission would come in right to here to Cable Junction, which is your junction. That's where your breakers are. And then you actually have service to Amity Island. So that's why I situated Amity Island the way it is. It's a methodical way of looking at it in a logical way of where was Cable Junction in relation to Nantucket, and which was most logical way was to get power there. So therefore, Amity Island is right here. It's also close enough to be on a ferry schedule. Ferries coming out of Cape Cod, out of Woods Hole, or out of Hyannis. They're going to hit here, they're going to hit Nantucket, but they're also going to be able to come in right to here and hit Amity Island. It's a little bit longer it's a little bit longer of a ferry ride, which kind of shows you why there would be you would want to keep that tourist industry going, because they have other options. They could go to Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, Cape Cod, Long Island, Hamptons. There's so many other different parts that they could go to. So Amity Island has always been an outlier island. So any tourists that get out there, they have to take a longer ferry ride. But yet it is more untouched than Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. So it's relatively newer beaches, a little bit more cleaner beaches, cleaner waters. So that's why that's what the selling point is to get out to Amity Island. It's all very interesting, but that's all just off of this. That's how much work went into just this one wide angle, this one wide map of Amity Island. That was my reasoning into why the placement of Amity Island like it is. A lot of people will ask about the look of Amity Island. Well, Amity Island is based off an island in the Bahamas, and I scoured a lot of different island formations. I wanted something organic looking, but I wanted something that would match up to what I was seeing with the events of Jaws, with the way the roads are laid out, which way the characters are driving, and which way the settings are, especially Jaws and Jaws 2. As we know, Jaws was filmed on Martha's Vineyard. Jaws 2 was a hybrid filming, some on Martha's Vineyard, but a lot of it was done in Florida. So there has to be an explanation of why certain beaches look differently and certain beaches change. And it actually really works out in the vast scheme of things, as you're going to see as we bring the Jaws universe expands out. You're going to see that actually helps the storyline of Amity Island. This is a troubled island, and with a darker history, and I love that. I love that about this, and that's why the placement of it. So what we're going to now do is we're going to go to as we're in minute 3, we have to figure out what type of water, what would be the temperature of that water. We're at seatemperature.org. We're looking at in June, where the average is 14.8 degrees Celsius, 58.6 degrees Fahrenheit, with a low of 11 degrees Celsius, 54.8 degrees Fahrenheit. If you factor in the clothes that the kids were wearing, the college students were wearing at the beginning of Jaws, they're dressed in warm blankets, warm sleeping bags, sweaters, jackets. It is colder out there. So we're going to be dealing with, the temperature would be between 54 and 58, around there, between 11 and 14 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty cold, pretty uncomfortable. yet Chrissie just no hesitation, just full stride runs and jumps right in. There's no concern for safety. The towel, there's no towel, her purse and clothes she just left on the beach back up on the sand dune on that ridge line. So there's that's in minute 2. So what can we say from this is that this was almost a one-way mission in her mind. She's not looking out for personal safety or personal preservation. There's more to Chrissie than just a summer girl looking for a good time. That's what I'm trying to stress here. Chrissie is a fascinating character who's that we are not given a lot of info on, but that there is more going on just by her actions. If you add in and go back and listen to episode 89, which was the minute number 2, you can see that there was more going on, that she wasn't really part of this. We've proved that she was not part of the college group. She was separate, that they met her on the ferry over. So she was not taking part in the group, as in it looks like she was not drinking, she was not eating. She was concerned more about getting in that water. And that's fascinating to me. So we're now at, that was about 3 minutes, and that goes to about 3 minutes and 6 seconds. We actually see her swimming out. Let's look at, really quick, we have a full moon. Okay, so this was in real life on the set. This is a day for night shot that cinematographer Bill Butler was able to pull off, that they were shooting in the afternoon, and with special filters and a special way of processing the film, you're going to make it look more like a twilight, like a real brilliant full moon nighttime scene. That's one of the beautiful things about this opening. It gives it a very eerie sense of like a Universal monster movie. And that's kind of what Steven Spielberg was setting up here with this full moon sequence, this day for night sequence. Because in the movie, we actually have to say that, okay, that's the moon, that's shimmering off of there. There aren't any colors, so we can't say it's the sun, right? So that's the moon. That's what we're getting with the moon hanging overhead, nice and full. But now, if you play, as she takes a couple of swim strokes out there as you play, we now have what looks like it's a sunrise. So we have sun coming up. And so we are now we have to infer that this is dawn. So I have seen some chatter before where some people think this is the sunset. You can't think this is the sunset because in the previous minute, and in minute 1 and minute 2, when you see that it's completely black when they are around the campfire, you also have to there's a lot of cups and plates that are empty, and they've already had their food. They are already deep into the night. There's couples making out. There's guys playing. There's guys jamming out on the guitar and one on a harmonica, and they're not even in the same song. So everybody's kind of doing their own thing. It's just not. It's not the beginning of the evening. It's definitely late into the night. You can also look at that obviously it was very dark, and as they go to run, it becomes more of a dawn. You see some more light in the sky as they're running, and then she goes into the water with the moon. But over here back on the beach, on South Beach, you have Cassidy.
Swin? Just can't walk.
With a sunrise coming up there. Now, this is very interesting. See, what I wanted to do here with minute 3 is, with this expanded Jaws universe, we are going to start establishing dates and times, and that Jaws takes place. Episode 16 and episode 76. We actually developed a 12 calendar days of Jaws timeline that's irrefutable. It's pretty lock solid when you look at these details. But we're going to start with, if you go back and listen to episode 16 or episode 76, what we're doing is we're now visually proving these timelines using Jaws 1 minute at a time. But in episode 76, we proved beyond a shadow of a doubt using, how many data points was it? It was 5 different data points within Jaws in episode 76. If you go back and watch that or listen to it, that Jaws takes place in the year 1974. Okay, it's without a doubt 1974. Okay, we might as well bring that up right now with this Jaws, the official Jaws movie timeline. We are right here. We are now on minute 3. We are on the 27th of June, 1974. And we are now between 5 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. with the Chrissie attack. Why are we on the 27th? Well, because we're going to have to go forward into the movie to explain a lot of that. But the quick answer is that Alex Kittner is without a doubt killed on June 29th, Sunday, because of the town hall sign that says his attack and the date he was killed. If you go to the Chrissie autopsy day, when Martin Brody is slapped by Mrs. Kittner, she says there was a girl that got killed here last week. Now, when she's talking about last week, she would be talking about these days right here. She would be talking about the week before her son was killed. So her son was killed on a Sunday. Now, she didn't say a girl got killed the day before my son. She said last week. So what we are dealing with here is we're looking at about the 27th of June. That's exactly when what we're dialing in here. We're dialing in is that the 27th of June, based off that line, a girl got killed here last week, plus the activity of what we're going to see in the next few minutes with Amity Island. It's not typically a Saturday. It's not a end day. It's actually one of the weekdays because you see a lot of hustling and bustling. Polly's coming into work. Polly would never be working on a Saturday. Polly's works Monday through Friday. So that's why we know that it is a Friday. It's June 27th. That's the Chrissie attack, the Friday of June 27th. Now we can actually get into, this is going to be really fun here. What we can actually show now, because we have the sunrise, I actually, you can go to, this is weatherspark.com. And remember, I'll post these all over at the show notes for anyone that's not watching this on video. But they actually have this data where you can compile and you can go back to June 1974. You can actually go down to when was the 27th here. And we can go to the 27th. We actually can see that in the 27th of June, 1974, that sunrise was exactly at 5:08 a.m. So now we are actually seeing with photographic proof that the sunrise off of Nantucket, remember, I'm dealing with Nantucket Island because Amity is closer to Nantucket than it is Martha's Vineyard. Amity, the third island system, that's proven in Jaws. Amity Island is there. That was the sunrise that you're going to be seeing behind Cassidy there, is that it's the 27th of June, 5:08 a.m. would have been the sunrise. I just think this is fascinating. So now we actually can say that this sunrise is showing that this time is now 5:08 a.m., June 27th, 1974. Very amazing. And this is very interesting because this is why I'm doing this also. This is for further research, is to lock these times in, lock these dates in, so we all can be on the same page because there's another story happening here. There's something else going on. Having Jaws start off on June 27th, 1974 at 5:08 a.m. is very important. And it's fascinating that we can actually derive from this third minute, 9 seconds into the third minute, and we're already locking in an exact time of the Chrissie attack. One thing I wanted to show is if you go to, this is over at planetsharkdivers.com. If you go to understanding shark activity, you have when are sharks most active? Discover their active times. Key takeaways: peak activity times. Sharks are most active during dawn and dusk, referred to as the twilight zone, making these times ideal for encounters. Let's continue reading here. Sharks are fascinating creatures that capture our imagination, but have you ever wondered when they are most active? Sharks tend to be most active during dawn and dusk, a time known as the twilight zone. During these hours, they hunt for prey and can often be seen swimming closer to the surface. Additionally, some species are influenced by water temperature and seasonal changes, making certain times of the year more favorable for shark activity. Knowing when these magnificent predators are on the move can help you stay safe and appreciate their role in the ocean's ecosystem. So, go down here. They have another flow chart here. Sharks exhibit distinct activity patterns influenced by various factors, including time of day. Time of day. Sharks are most active dawn and dusk. It says different shark species behavior. Great white shark, dawn and dusk, hunting near the surface for seals and fish. So this actually gives you a little bit of scientific accuracy into Jaws. Not much credit is usually given to Jaws for the scientific accuracy. This shot with Cassie right here actually proves that we have a prime great white hunting time of day. And this is when predations occur. We've seen this in Shark Week, that they get the dynamic jumps when those air Jaws episodes are filmed. You see them, they're always getting up early, and they were going out at sunrise, and that's when they would get some of those spectacular jumps, those spectacular breaches by great whites hunting seals, because the activity was so great back then during those sunrise hours. So that's where, so it's pretty amazing. So what we're doing is here, we're proving the date. We just proved the time. We're also proving that this is a sunrise. What was really interesting, if we can go back to this really interesting site, weatherspark.com. I have it loaded in for 1974, and the moonrise set and phases in June of 1974. If you look at it, if we go down to the 27th, we're looking at 63%. Full, almost it's over past half. So we're going at 63%. So we do have very ample moonlight at the time. Very interesting that also kind of matched up as well. I thought that was very interesting.
Dress myself.
So we have, this is the one of the fascinating parts here as we see Chrissie swimming out. I want to go back here and I want to show you exactly what Spielberg is doing here. Is he's showing the juxtaposition between Chrissie and Cassidy. That Cassidy is obviously intoxicated and Chrissie is not. So let's look at this again, and we have to go back into the second minute. So he falls down the dune, and we have Chrissie runs without any problem.
I can swim. Just can't walk.
So Spielberg is cutting back and forth. He shows her swimming. He cuts to Cassidy struggling. Now he goes back to her with this water ballet move. She's doing a backstroke, and she does the water ballet move. It's just a gorgeous shot with the shimmering moonlight off the water. But what Spielberg is doing is he's kind of showing the juxtaposition here. He's telling a story without telling a story. You have Cassidy's drunk, falling, and stumbling. And then you have Chrissie, and she's athletic, she's skilled, and she's articulate. So she's deliberate. It's very interesting. When she comes up here, listen what she says.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
See, so what we just had is we have her. She's not slurring her speech. She's very, very methodical. She looks back. She knows where she is. She knows her relation to the beach, to how deep she is. And then you have Cassidy falls, and he's struggling just to even take his shoe off. What Spielberg is doing, he's communicating a larger story. There's a larger story here, and it's a side story. It's something we'll never learn. We never really are privy to more details, but that's how great of a filmmaker he is he is showing this with this, cutting back and forth there, no music, just the atmospherics of the water. He cuts back and forth because he wants to show that there's something, that Chrissie's a deeper character than some of us might give her credit for. She's on a different mission. She's not what we might think of as just someone out looking to have a one-night stand or just to have a run on a beach. She's not someone that is there as a she's obviously older than the college kids she came over with because of the birth date that Martin Brody types in on the police report later on. So there's a lot more to Chrissie's history. She's a fascinating character. She's probably the most fascinating character, one of the most fascinating characters in cinema, because we get no information, but we get a lot of information, and we want to know more. And that's what I am. I'm just I'm very intrigued by that. I've always been intrigued by the character of Chrissie, and that she's kind of dismissed later on by the mayor as a summer girl, swims out far. She tires. Fishing boat comes along. It seems like they're just writing her off, but there's a lot more depth here to this. And Martin Brody seems like he is more that he takes the Alex Kintner death scene more to heart, because he thinks that it could have been prevented. But a lot of us they always overlook the plight of Chrissie. Why was she there? What were her motivations? And why is she acting so different? Why is she not even freezing? She's not even considering this cold water. This is 50-degree water. It's cold. And she's just not even thinking about it. She's not thinking about self-preservation because she's running away from something. There's some pain in her past that caused her to be there. It's fascinating to me. That's fascinating to me. As you saw with the Book of Quint, that arm wrestling injury is, and if you listen to our episode 18 of the Jaws Obsession, that is the reason why Quint can't hold on to the table. So all of a sudden, that arm wrestling injury, why was he in the tournament? What was he thinking about when he got hurt in that tournament? That becomes one of the key moments in his life, because it ultimately is the factor that leads to his death. And so now, as with Chrissie Watkins, what put her on the island? Because that ultimately is what leads to her death. And we will never know. And we never know because we're not giving that information. But that is how great Spielberg is. He's using the iceberg theory. I want to look that up just because. If I look up Hemingway's iceberg theory, we're going to go to the old our old Wikipedia friend here. We're going to go to the iceberg theory with Hemingway. Iceberg theory, or theory of omission, is a writing technique coined by American writer Ernest Hemingway. As a young journalist, Hemingway had to focus his newspaper reports on immediate events with very little context or interpretation. When he became a writer of short stories, he retained his minimalistic style, focusing on surface elements without explicitly discussing underlying themes. Hemingway believed the deeper meaning of a story should not be evident on the surface, but should shine through implicitly. So that was his way of writing, was using an iceberg theory, saying that you show the reader just the tip above the surface, and they never get to see what's below the surface, but it's something massive and big. And that makes your writing more dynamic, and it makes the draw for the reader more stronger draw for the reader, and it pulls you in because you want to know more. So you reread and you're trying to learn these details in order to figure out what is the overall story here. And that exactly is what Spielberg is doing here with Chrissie Watkins. He's using this iceberg theory, but in filmmaking form. Wow, how amazing is that in filmmaking form? And that shows you how advanced he was at 27 years old, at 26, 27 years old, that here he was, he's actually creating, using cutbacks and forth and using behavioral patterns and looks by Chrissie in minute 2 when she looks over at the ocean. She knows that the ocean's calling her, and she doesn't have much dialogue. He's showing daylight. He's showing separation, that she's not some young, drunk college kid like Cassidy is. So he's showing you the young, drunk college kid, but he's showing you Chrissie is a lot different. There's a lot more weight. There's a lot more drama going on in her life by just her behavioral actions here on the beach. And by cutting back and forth, that's Spielberg's iceberg theory. He's showing us that there is a larger story here beneath the surface and above the water, like Chrissie is above the water now. That's all we're being shown here. But that's the magnetic draw that we have. Why we rewatch this, why we can sit in a booth at an all-night diner and talk about Jaws forever, is because we all have our own little theories, because that's what it does. It's the iceberg theory. Hemingway coined it for writing, and here Spielberg uses it in Jaws. It's just simply brilliant. Remember, at that scene also, you have, with this scene also, you have that sunrise right there. So we are actually seeing sunrises coming up.
Come on in the water. Take it easy. Take it easy.
And Cassidy falls. Now we come to the moment where we go underwater and where John Williams' score is coming back up after we had the opening sequence, the opening title credits sequence. We just had atmospherics. We had the guitar and the harmonica playing. And then we just had the atmospherics of water and just sound effects. But now we go underwater where it's where John Williams' score comes up. And we see Chrissie swimming from below. We also see that she is silhouetted against the moon that's hanging high in the sky. And that's what's going to lead us to a little bit more of that. This is the transition from night going into dawn. We don't have, this wouldn't typically be the shark point of view yet because we don't have the music. One of the things that we have to look at is we have to look at that. Look at how graceful her swimming stroke is, and look at how she's not erratically moving like Cassidy was. We still have that separation. We're also going to focus on the channel marker buoy that's going to come to play in the 4th minute. But the channel marker buoy is giving us some a relation, as we saw when she first came in, when she first dove into the water, how far away she is from the beach line. That's another way of Jaws visually storytelling here, is that without showing us this massive wide shot, which you couldn't get back then in 35 millimeter using day for night. So he basically already showed you the distance when she entered the water and that buoy was further out. Now look at how much closer she is. So you know that she's far away from Cassidy. And this is just Spielberg creating distance between the characters, showing you that she is alone. And as we are approaching at the final seconds, we have now the 4th minute. We're just at 3 minutes, 59 seconds. We go into minute 4 here. We're going to pause here, but we have the shark POV from the jaws of the shark, the jaws POV. Remember, we established that in minute 0. As the shark is coming up, we actually see the graceful Chrissie Watkins in her final moments, but it's now you're looking at the shark. The jaws are focused on those legs. That's where the first bite is going to happen. It's going to be very accurate to the book, and what Peter Benchley wrote is that's how the shark hits Chrissie first, right at the leg, right at the thigh. I believe that was where it was. The John Williams score here, as it builds in. I mean, that's just amazing. That probably made everybody, the back and forth with the above the water and below the water. That is probably the most effective part of Jaws in what, not just the beginning and the performance by Susan Back-Linney, but what terrifies everybody when you are in a deep sea or a deep water scenario is that you can't see what's below. And that's what is effectively done here, cutting back and forth between the shark jaws POV and then the top of what Chrissie is, shoulders above the water, and what we don't see below. So this again proves the iceberg theory that Ernest Hemingway used with writing. Spielberg is using it with filmmaking. And isn't that the essence of just great filmmaking? Great directors will have that sense of doing that, hinting at what's happening and not showing us everything. So therefore, our imaginations take over. And that's what's going to happen in minute 4. So with that, I think we can put this one in the books. This is minute 3 of the Expanded Jaws universe. Jaws Obsession, episode 91. Thank you very much for listening. The movie Jaws is copyrighted property of Universal Studios. Any references and sampling from the movie Jaws in this episode is intended to fall within Section 107 of the Copyright Act. The copyrighted materials are fairly used for the purposes of criticism, comment, reporting, teaching, and research. The materials used here are protected by the fair use guidelines of Section 107 of the Copyright Act. All rights reserved to the copyright owners. Thank you very much for listening with this Jaws Universe, Expanded Jaws Universe, minute 3. I am going to be leaving tomorrow, headed out to Indianapolis. I'll be in town there. We will be set up at the monument, at the USS Indianapolis Monument in Indianapolis, Indiana, for the Honor Watch. That's July 30th. And July 29th, there's at the Amity Island Hotel, there's going to be guest speakers, and I will be doing a small presentation, but I think that's going to be on the 30th. I'll find out more when I get there, but that's where I'll be, and then I'll have more to report back to you. Please stay in touch over at the Instagram page at Book of Quint over at Instagram.com for more updates there. Also, I'll be in England, back at the UK in West Houghton, northern Greater Manchester area, at the Robert Shaw, August 16th and 17th, at a Robert Shaw festival celebrating the 50th anniversary of Jaws and all the wonderful works and the writing of Robert Shaw. I'll be on a panel there with Adrian McKenna and some others. That's over at Eventbrite. If you follow the link in the description of this broadcast, and you can go right over there and reserve tickets, which are going fast. So thank you very much, everybody, for following along. And also for the motivational speech. If you follow over at YouTube, episode 90, it's just amazing to see the responses. So thank you very much. Until next episode, until next time, farewell and adieu. Show me the way to go home.